Hi girls. So from what I can see, none of you seem to have any difficulties in terms of taking a look at this particular question and how to work it out. So if you're taking a look at this question, there's only one real root. So this is question 10. There's really only one root. That's it. It only crosses the x-axis at x is equal to -1. So that's its root. Okay. Then you were asked to pick out the bits where we're increasing and where we're decreasing. You all seem to be able to pick it out, but then not necessarily able to tell me how to describe that. It was a little bit more challenging. So you all knew that this was the decreasing part of the graph and that this was the increasing part of the graph. Okay, so this is a bit of the graph going down, this is a bit of the graph going up. But it's how do I tell them that? Okay, so for this one, x is -3 or -2. So therefore x is greater than -3. Okay, so -3, -2, -2 is bigger than -3. And increasing then, so the increasing part of the graph is where x is either -1, 0, 1 or 2. So it's bigger than -1. Okay, so this one is the increasing and this one is the decreasing. And that did pose a little bit of difficulty, not about showing me which ones are increasing and decreasing. You could do that, no problem, but it was picking that little part out and taking a look at it, at that particular part that you had difficulty. And the other part then, the minimum, that wasn't a problem at all. All of you that attempted got that. So your minimum then is -1, 0. Okay, your x value is here, and that was fine. If we go to question 12, then we just take a look at one where it's an N-shaped graph. That's where it's the frowny face, the sad face. And again, we take a look at this particular graph. Again, the roots weren't a problem. So the roots for you were across the x-axis, x is equal to -1 or x is equal to 2. That wasn't a problem. Again, telling me where you're increasing and decreasing, for most of you wasn't a problem. A couple of you got this one wrong. So I'm increasing here, so the graph is going up to there, and then I turn the corner, and from here on in, I'm coming down. Okay, now some of you mislabeled this and said this was decreasing, but majority of you got the rest, got it correctly. Okay, so you're increasing or you're decreasing, and then you did have some difficulty about picking it out, so let's just show it to you again. So increasing, so it's -3 is the x value, -2, -1, 0. So x is greater than -3. Okay, and then it starts to go down from here. So that's roughly a half or 3/4, you could say. I don't know which one you want to say. It depends on how you graphed it. For me, it's 3/4. So x is greater than 3/4 or 0.75. And for all values bigger than x, then the graph is going down. Okay. And then this one doesn't have a maximum or a minimum. It has a maximum. So your maximum is here at this point here. So what are we at this point here? So we've agreed that the x value for me is 0.75 and my y value is just a bit bigger than 2. So 2.2. Okay, 2.1. It's not quite 2 though. That's the maximum at the top. It's just gone past the 2 before I start coming down again. Okay. So with the N-shaped graphs, they're just the opposite word. Instead of minimum, it's maximum. And you don't have a problem in picking it out. You don't have a problem in picking any of it out, but sometimes you have problems describing it. And to be fair, as I said to you with these quadratics girls, you're going to see them so rarely where you're going to be asked to do a quadratic pattern that it really isn't worth much more of our investment, okay? And certainly not much more of your stress. If we've time when we come to the other end, depending on what happens with your exams, when the exams are, what format they're taking, we'll discuss, and if you want we can go back and take another look at some of those ones and the roots, etc. But other than that, there's nothing you need. The only other thing then is you might be asked to solve this. So you might be asked to solve it to find the roots. So you might be asked to do it graphically like we've done here, -1 and 2, and then you might be asked to solve it to find the roots, okay? So if it's something like that, you're looking at a quadratic minus x squared plus x plus 2. How do I solve it? Okay, and I'm going to ask you to go back now and do this for question 9, 10 and 11. How do I solve it? Well, there's loads of different ways, but the minus b formula is probably the easiest way of doing it, which we met before the mocks. And that's where you've assigned each of the letters a number. So a is equal to minus 1, b is equal to 1, and c is equal to 2. And you sub in and you find your two values of x. And we did these just before the mocks and you didn't have a problem with them, girls. So maybe we'll go back and take a little look at revising that, because when quadratics come up, that's normally what's coming up, is solve it. You had one on your mocks, there was one in last year's paper, there was one in the years before paper. So you probably are going to see a minus b formula. So why not go back now and try and sub these in and see how you get. Remember, what does the plus or minus means? It just means you get two answers. So I have minus 1 plus or minus the square root of 1 squared minus 4 times minus 1 times 2 all over 2 times minus 1. Okay, and then I separate it into two questions. So it's minus 1 plus, and I can work this out. 1 squared is 1, 1 minus by minus is a plus, plus 8 over minus 2, or it's 1 minus the square root of 1 plus 8 over minus 2. And those just go into the calculator then, and they give you an answer for each of them. And of course, I mean, I'm trying to remember a time when I started one of these videos where I actually do have the calculator. I don't know where it is. I think I can do this one in my head. So that's 9, so that's going to be 3. So it's minus 1 plus 3 is 2 over minus 2. X is equal to minus 1. And then 1 minus 3 is minus 2 over minus 2 is plus 1. So x is equal to 1. Okay. I could have typed them in wrong, and if I have, girls, sorry about that. But I think they're right. So you type them into your calculator and see what you get. Okay. So I'm going to ask you to solve the formulas that you were given originally for 9, 10 and 11 using the minus b formula. I'll give you a little bit of practice. It's the most likely part of the question that's going to come up. And the last part of the chapter that we're going to look at, and again, I told you girls, there's little parts of the chapter we're not going to spend too long on. Like, for example, the next part of it is about an intersecting graph. We've already done that. So we did this in linear patterns where you'd have a graph like this and then I draw a line through it. I plot another line and I ask you, where do they intersect? And you do that in science all the time. Where do they meet? That's all that's asking you for. Okay, those 2 points at where it meets. So that next section in the book I'm not going to do because you've already done it several times. It's the intersection of graphs. Now, if you come back to me and say, Miss Ashley, could you just show me one example? I can't do question 6, I can't do question 8, I'll do it for you. But I don't think you'll have a problem with it, girls, because it's just plotting your regular graph, which I've seen now you're good at, plotting a line, which I know you're fine at, and then it's asking me where the point of intersection is of the two things. Okay. So I'll ask you to give your minus b formula another go for the graphs that you did for 9, 10 and 11. And I'd ask you to do that for tonight, and that'll be Tuesday morning. And then we'll move on from there. Okay, talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.